Risque to be continued. Alright. In fact, everything else seemed better now that they had each other. She, Marlin, and Nemo were very close, and they tried to keep each other happy and safe. One night, Dory swam Albert Cave through the gently swaying fronds of the sea anemone. She could see Marlin and Nemo sleeping. "Hey, Marlin," she whispered. She swam toward them accidentally and bumped into Anemone. It jolted her with a shock. "Oh, whoa, whoa, whoa!" she cried. Marlin awoke groggily and gently pushed her back into her cave. "Oh, Dory, it's not time to get up yet. You have to go back to bed, and remember the anemone stings," Nemo said, still half asleep. "All right." "Yeah, sorry. Back to bed," Dory said, settling down. But she quickly headed out, hitting the anemone stinging cell again. "Ow!" Marlin got up. "Go back to bed. That's it. Very simple. Bed, back to it," he said curtly, pointing to his fin toward her home. Uh, hmm. Got it," said Dory, once again swimming to her cave. But then she turned around. "Hey, Marlin!" And "We're up," said Marlin, realizing that he wouldn't be able to return to sleep. "That's it. Ready to start the day." Okay. Dory, Marlin, and Nemo followed the winding path that led to Nemo's school, reminiscing, as they often did, about their great adventures across the ocean to find Nemo. "Okay," said Marlin. "So there we were, stuck inside a whale, hanging from his tongue, and we were looking for something," said Dory. "Nemo," said Marlin. "Hmm, found him," said Dory. Nemo giggled. "I remembered it like it was yesterday, although I don't really remember yesterday all that well." Dory admitted that must have been the scariest part of the whole trip. "Right, Dad?" Nemo said. "No, the scariest part of the whole trip was when we met the 4 sharks." Nemo looked at his father. "Wait, I thought there were 3 sharks." "No," said Marlin. "No, there was definitely 4. The last time you told it there were 3. Son, which one of us traveled across the entire ocean?" Nemo did. Dory said quickly. "Obviously, we had to cross the ocean to find him, so, you went first." Marlin stared at Dory, realizing he was right. Nemo grinned proudly at his father. "I guess that's true, isn't it?" said Marlin, smiling. When they got to Sandy Patch School, the teacher, Mr. Way, was pacing nervously as Dory, and Nemo rounded the corner. Mr. Way swam toward them. "Well, you made it. You almost missed the field trip," and Stingray said. "Field trip? Oh, I love field trips. Where are we going?" Dory asked. Mr. Way gave Marlin a look. "I thought you told her," he whispered to Marlin. "I did tell her," said Marlin. Then he turned to Dory. It was clear that he was going to have to explain the situation again. Dory," she said, trying to get her attention. Dory listened, smiling. "Mr. Ray has too many fish to keep an eye on today." Marlin watched Mr. Ray swim off toward the class. "So it would be best if, toward you were exactly." His voice trailed off as he tried to figure out how to not hurt her feelings with the class. "Oh, why not?" asked Dory. "Well, you know how you have problems remembering things sometimes," Marlin asked. "That's the one thing I can't remember." "Yes," Dory said with a chuckle. "Okay. And sometimes it's not your fault. It can cause you to wander," said Marlin. "Hmm. So he doesn't have enough help to keep an eye on those who are not." "Sure. Part of the group. Okay. He's a teacher, not a scout," Marlin said, laughing nervously. "Poor guy. He is so overworked," said Dory. Marlin wasn't sure that Dory was getting the full picture. "You understand?" Marlin asked. I totally understand, she replied. Okay, said Dory. Good, Marlin said, satisfied. He wants me to be the teacher's assistant, Dory said proudly. Marlin couldn't believe it. How could Dory get it so wrong? No, not exactly. Well, I am so honored. I have never been a teaching assistant before, said Dory. Marlin sighed, giving up. Mr. Ray, he called, you've got help. Good luck, exasperated. Marlin swam back toward home. Okie dokie, said Mr. Ray reluctantly. Once the class gets settled, Mr. Ray began his lesson. Dory tried to help her in her own way by repeating everything he said. All right, kids, said Mr. Ray. All right, kids, said Dory. Today's the day, said Mr. Ray. Today's the day, repeated Dory. Our field trip to the Stingray migration. Stingray migration? Now now does anyone know why we migrate? Asked Mr. Ray. No one responded. Mr. Ray was met with blank stares and a deafening silence. Come on, said Dory, smacking her fins together. You gotta know this stuff. Migration is about going back to, Mr. Ray offered, trying to get his class in bed, said Chicken Fish. Yes, said Dory. No, said Mr. Ray. No, echoed Dory. The sand, answered Pearl, raising the fin. No, repeated Mr. Ray. Migration is about going home. Home, Dory repeated slowly. The words seemed to tug on something deep inside her. Which is where you're from, said Mr. Ray. Where you're from, said Dory. Can someone tell me where they're from? Asked Mr. Ray. I live by a giant rock, yelled one student. My house is covered in algae, yelled the chicken fish. Where'd you grow up, Dory? Asked the young crab. Me? Dory asked, pointing a fin at her chest. I don't know, she said, her big eyes shifting downward. The kids immediately quieted. They were surprised by Dory's answer. My family, she continued. Where are they? She turned and stared out at the open water. Lost in thought. Something in the conversation had jogged her foggy memory, but she could never hold on to those thoughts for very long. When the water ceased to keep her attention, she turned to see Nemo's entire class staring at her. Can I help you? Yes, they giggled. I'm sorry, Dory was embarrassed. Did I forget again? You see, I suffer from, class said together. Short-term memory loss. What's it like having short-term memory loss? Chicken fish. uh, Good question, Dory answered. She thought for a moment, then tried to explain. Well, like, for a moment, then tried to explain. Well, like, for instance, if I'm thinking about, say, kelp, and then all of a sudden, what? And even though I just had the kelp in my head, I see. I don't even know what I said just now and tell you the example. Let's just say it's kelp. Class stared at Dory, bewildered as she continued. She was forgetting right before their very eyes. You say something about kelp, and I'm like, what about kelp? But you're saying you brought it up. I'm like, okay, that's gone right now. I don't even know what we were just saying. See, that's my problem. It's a nutshell. Aw, that's so sad, said one young fish. Dory smiled. I try not to dwell on it, she said. Mr. Ray jumped in, eager to move on. Okay, kids, enough discussion. Climb aboard, explorers. I feel a migration song coming on. He held a note as he sang, "Oh." He continued to sing a migration song as he carried the class on his back. Dory sang along, swimming next to Mr. Ray. When they reached the edge of the reef, The students jumped off, and he reminded them to stay away from the edge. The class settled again and waited expectantly. "Now, I need everyone to listen to me," started Mr. Ray. "All right, listen up," said Dory, continuing to repeat Mr. Ray's words. "When the rays pass through here, what do we have to be careful of?" asked Mr. Ray. "Everyone has to be careful of what?" echoed Dory. "The undertow," the student answered. "That's right," said Mr. Ray. "That's right, the under—" Dory stopped suddenly. "The undertow?" she said to herself. "I've heard that before." Dory was so focused on the words that Mr. Ray's voice began to fade. Soon she didn't hear him at all. "Mr. Ray!" squealed Nemo, raising his fin. "So how do the stingrays all know where to go?" he asked. "That's what instinct is, Nemo," answered Mr. Ray. "Something deep inside you that feels so familiar that you have to listen to it, like a song you've already known." Mr. Ray peeled up and held a fin to his ear, and I can hear mine now. In the distance they heard the sound of many voices as one, a choir singing a beautiful song. As stingrays swarmed closer, the song became louder and louder. Everyone watched, amazed. The massive schools of rays gracefully swam and sang in perfect harmony. It was an awesome sight. The sea grass bent, pulled by the strength of the strong current created by the flipping of the rays. Bent. But Dory just stared at the swaying grass. The way it moved reminded her of something. She slowly approached it as if in a trance. Then, inside her mind, she heard a pair of frightened, faraway voices saying, "Watch out, Cupcake, and you have to stay away from the undertow." "The undertow," Dory said again, repeating the strangely familiar word. She drifted closer and closer to the rays, and all of a sudden she was pulled into the undertow. She screamed as her body twirled and twisted. The whirling water was completely overtaking her. "Dory!" shouted Nemo. She continued to scream as she moved farther and farther away from Nemo and the rest of the class. Flash! Suddenly, a lightning-fast snippet of a memory played in her mind. She remembered being pulled away from her parents as they called her name. She heard their voices clearly shouting for her. Again, again! And everything went black.